You ever look back on a relationship and think, wow, I really let the devil in through the front door? Yeah, that was me. At first, it didn't look like hell, it looked like comfort, like someone finally saw me. He had this way of asking deep questions. He remembered small things, like the kind of coffee I liked or the exact quote I posted in a story 6 months ago. It felt intentional, but what I didn't know back then was that he was studying me, not to love me, to control me. We weren't fireworks. We were slow burn, the kind of relationship that slides into your life so smoothly you don't even realize how tightly it's wrapping around your neck. The first few months were sweet, late night calls, playlists, little care packages when I had a bad day. He listened, he held space, he said all the right things. But slowly, it changed. It started with comments. I like your hair better when it's natural. You don't need to post thirst traps, just be private for me. He hated when I wore lipstick. He hated when I wore tight jeans. But he followed every Instagram model within a 10-mile radius. And when I called him out on it, he'd twist it. You're overthinking again. You're always looking for something to fight about. And just like that, I started apologizing for things I shouldn't even feel guilty about. I stayed, because I thought I could fix it. I thought love meant working through the mess. But love isn't supposed to feel like drowning with a smile on your face. Then one night, I got a DM. Random account, no profile picture, just a screenshot. It was him. Flirting, sending photos, explicit ones. And not just to one girl, to 3. I froze, and then the panic kicked in because 2 of them were people we both knew. One had been to my birthday, another had borrowed my clothes once. I didn't confront him, didn't scream, didn't throw a scene. I packed a small bag, grabbed my charger, took one last look at the apartment we shared, and left. No drama, no text, just silence. He called, I didn't answer. He begged, I blocked. For the first time in 2 years, I felt light, but that peace didn't last long. Because when insecure men lose control, they don't fall apart, they lash out. And mine, he did the worst thing I could have imagined. He posted my private photos, the ones I sent in love, in trust, only for him. He didn't even post them from his real account, it was a burner. No name, no bio, just one post, with my body on display, cropped, filtered, but it was me, clear as day, captioned, "This is what loyalty looks like." At first, I didn't even know. I was sipping coffee on a Sunday morning thinking I'd finally started healing, when I got a text from a friend, real, casual, like, "Hey, don't freak out, but I think someone posted your pics." My stomach dropped. I clicked the link she sent, and there it was, me, on full display. A photo I'd only ever shared with him. Private, intimate, never meant to be public, let alone weaponized. I stared at it for a minute, not breathing, not blinking, just frozen. And when I finally looked away, I felt the heat crawl up my spine. Not embarrassment, rage. The kind that sits in your chest like fire in a locked room. No oxygen, just pressure. I took screenshots, every angle. The username, the time posted, the IP metadata, because I wasn't going to scream. Not yet. I was going to document. Because if I learned anything from him, it's that silence can be dangerous. But now, it was going to be my weapon. I didn't text him, didn't give him the satisfaction of a reaction. He wanted chaos, he wanted to feel powerful, he wanted me to spiral. So instead, I went quiet. Dead quiet. What he didn't know was, while he was busy trying to humiliate me, I was busy learning how to move in the dark. Turns out the company he worked for, super corporate, super clean image, and very strict about social media conduct. I remembered him bragging about their investor board once, how image was everything, how HR took reputation seriously. So I did what any strategic woman would do. I pulled up their code of ethics. Page 12, right there, clear as day, any public or private conduct, including online behavior that jeopardizes the reputation of the company, may result in immediate termination. You know what else they had? An anonymous whistleblower portal. So I built a case. Screenshots, a full timeline, his connection to the post, the metadata, my written statement, everything. And I submitted it. No flair, no rage, just facts. Clean, organized, devastating. I didn't expect anything to happen right away. Honestly, I thought they'd sweep it under the rug. But the next morning, I woke up to 10 missed calls from him, 3 texts, a voicemail. I didn't check them, but I knew. Something had shifted. Then I got a DM from a mutual friend. Girl, he got fired. Effective immediately. I just sat there. No music, no crying, just stillness. Because this wasn't revenge. Not yet. This was consequence. And he had no idea what was coming next. The best part? He didn't see it coming. Not because he was stupid, but because he thought I was. He thought I'd cry, beg, maybe even threaten him directly. But I didn't. I just disappeared. And that drove him crazy. He started posting cryptic stories. You know the kind. Black background, white font. Quotes like, "You think you know someone," or my personal favorite, "Some people are ungrateful no matter how good you are to them." It was laughable because now he wasn't trying to destroy me. He was trying to rewrite the narrative. He wanted to flip the story, make me the villain. Make him the wounded, discarded, misunderstood ex. He forgot one thing. I had the truth. And the truth doesn't beg for attention. It just waits. And then it detonates. While he was throwing shade online, I was doing something else entirely. I was getting better. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to stop bleeding from wounds I didn't cause. I got back into journaling, pages and pages of messy handwriting, no grammar, no punctuation, just raw, rage, shame, loneliness, clarity. Then I made a rule. No more shrinking to make other people feel tall. No more saying it's okay when it wasn't. No more pretending to be soft just so I wouldn't be called bitter. I had every right to be angry, but I didn't want to stay angry. I wanted to be free. And the more I took my power back, the more he unraveled. His friends stopped engaging. His stories started sounding desperate. He even tried to reach out. Through fake numbers, through mutual friends. Once, even through a burner email that said, "I just want to talk. You don't have to respond. I just miss you." But he didn't miss me. He missed access to me, to my softness, to my silence, to the version of me who gave him power just by not fighting back. And that version, she was gone. One night, I went back to that burner account, the one where he posted the photos. It was gone, deleted, not deactivated, wiped, like it never existed. I guess he thought that would fix it, that maybe if he erased the evidence, the damage would go with it. But here's what abusers never understand. You can't delete trauma from someone else's memory. You can't undo humiliation with silence. Some things leave a stain, and some stains never come out. Still, I smiled. Not because he took it down, but because he knew. He knew he lost. Not his job, not his reputation, me. And once you lose the woman who carried your secrets like gold, you never recover from that. Funny thing is, he thought taking down that burner post would make it all disappear, like it never happened. Like I imagined it. Like he wasn't the kind of guy to betray someone who loved him in silence. But here's the truth. I didn't need the post to exist anymore. Because the damage already did. And so did the proof. Because what he didn't know, I kept copies. Encrypted, archived, backed up in 3 different clouds and on an external drive he'd never even seen. Because I was done playing small. That week, I got a call from a lawyer. Not mine, his company's. Apparently, HR had escalated my report, and the investor board, they'd seen it. Every detail, every screenshot, every policy violation. And they were furious. Not just because it happened, but because they didn't find out from him. They found out from a woman he underestimated. From me. He wasn't just fired. He was blacklisted. They flagged his personnel record. They issued a formal ethics breach. They froze his severance package. And just like that, his shiny little career path? Gone. You'd think that would feel like victory. And for a second, yeah, it did. I'd be lying if I said I didn't smile. But what surprised me more was what I felt next. Not revenge, not celebration. Relief. Like something inside me finally exhaled after months of holding its breath. Because here's what nobody tells you about surviving someone like that. You don't just walk away from the pain. You carry the echoes. You question your own memories. You double-check your own instincts. You replay every red flag you ignored, and you hate yourself for not seeing it sooner. But healing isn't about erasing the pain. It's about learning to live with the parts of yourself that got hurt without letting them become who you are. So I started rebuilding. Not to show him, not to prove anything, just for me. I started walking every morning. No headphones, just the sound of my own feet hitting the pavement. I changed my number. I cleaned out my inbox. I deleted voice memos I never wanted to hear again. I bought new sheets, threw out the ones we used to sleep in, repainted the bedroom. And every night before I went to bed, I reminded myself, you don't owe anyone your silence. You're allowed to move on without making an announcement. He tried reaching out again. Of course he did. A fake account. Some long message that started with, I just want to explain. But I didn't open it. Didn't read past the preview. Because he didn't want to explain. He wanted access. And I wasn't handing that out anymore. Healing didn't look the way I expected it to. There wasn't a moment where I stood in front of the mirror and suddenly loved myself again. No dramatic I made it scene, no emotional breakdown turned breakthrough. It was quieter than that. Smaller, almost invisible to anyone who wasn't paying attention. It looked like getting up on a Monday without checking his Instagram. Like walking into a coffee shop and not wondering if I'd run into one of his people. Like putting on red lipstick again. Not to attract anyone, but because I missed how it made me feel. That's the thing no one tells you. Healing isn't loud. It's a whisper. 1,000 little whispers that say, you're safe now. You're not her anymore. You're allowed to feel good again. Some days I still flinched when my phone buzzed. Some days I still had dreams that pulled me back into his orbit, where I'd wake up sweating, thinking he was still in the next room. But then I'd breathe, put my feet on the floor, and say out loud, that was then, this is now. Because I wasn't trying to erase what happened, I was trying to survive it, honor it, and outgrow it. And slowly I did. I started painting again. I joined a small women's group, one where we told the truth out loud. No filters, no it's fine, just the real stuff. I told my story, not for pity, but for power. And something wild happened. They didn't look at me like I was ruined. They looked at me like I was brave, like I had walked through fire and brought back something useful. There was one woman in the group, quiet, soft-spoken, barely looked anyone in the eye. After I shared, she came up to me and whispered, I've never told anyone what happened to me, but I think I'm ready now. That moment, that was the win. Not the job he lost, not the deleted post, not the silence he now lived in. That. Helping someone else feel less alone, less ashamed, less silenced. Because the truth is, what he did to me, it hurt. But what I did after, that's where the power lives. And I realized, I didn't need an apology. I didn't need closure. I didn't need revenge. What I needed was me. The version of me who survived it. The version of me who came home to herself. The version of me who could finally say, the story doesn't end with what he did. It begins with what I chose to become. The weirdest part about peace? It's not loud. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or dramatic music. It just shows up. Soft, slow, solid. Like the moment you wake up and realize you're not checking your phone for their name anymore. Like walking past the place where it all fell apart and not flinching. Like sitting in the same silence that used to haunt you and realizing it finally feels like home. People started saying things like, you seem different. You look lighter. Did you cut your hair? But it wasn't my hair, or my clothes, or the way I walked. It was my energy. It was no longer shaped by fear, by anxiety, by shame. It was steady, unapologetic, untouchable. I didn't tell people what happened, not because I was ashamed, but because I didn't need to relive it just to prove that I'd survived it. He lost so much more than his job. He lost access to me, to my heart, to the warmth I used to give freely. That's what people like him never understand. It's not the photos. It's not the gossip. It's not the smear campaign. It's what they lose when they can't reach you anymore. I stopped following him on every level, not just online, energetically, emotionally. He became a closed tab in a browser I no longer used. A lesson, not a lingering wound. And the biggest surprise? I started laughing again. Like, really laughing. Not the haha I'm fine kind. The kind where your whole body lets go. Where the air feels lighter. Where your shoulders drop without you even realizing it. I remember sitting on my couch one evening watching something stupid on TV and catching myself mid-laugh. I actually paused and whispered, "Wow, I forgot I could feel this free." That's when I knew the story had changed. Not because he finally paid, but because I stopped paying with my peace. It's wild, right? You think your life is over because someone cracked you open in the worst way, but then you realize you were never broken, you were just buried. And the pain, it didn't ruin you, it rooted you. So now you grow differently, wider, wilder, stronger. And if you're still in the middle of it, still holding your breath through the ache, I want you to hear this. You don't have to stay stuck in the chapter they wrote for you. You can start a new one, with your voice, your name, your ending. I thought that was it. I thought the chapter had closed, quiet and clean, with peace that tasted like freedom. But toxic men rarely go quietly, and cowards, they never stay gone. It started with a letter, a real one, not an email, not a text, a thick official envelope with my name spelled in all caps. Return address? A law firm. I sat there staring at it for minutes, heart steady, but hands shaking just enough to remind me I still remembered. I opened it. He was suing me for defamation of character and financial damages due to slander. I actually laughed out loud, the kind of laugh that starts in disbelief and ends in disgust. According to his statement, my false accusations led to his termination, his inability to find new employment, and reputational harm that affected his mental health. He forgot to include one key detail. He did what I said he did, and I had proof. Screenshots, metadata, voice memos, IP logs. It wasn't defamation, it was documentation. But here's the kicker. He filed the suit right after applying for a new position at a company owned by one of the investors he'd already burned. He wasn't trying to win in court. He was trying to scrub his record, paint himself as the victim, again. So, I did what I always do now. I didn't panic. I didn't call friends crying. I didn't spiral. I built a file, timeline, receipts, HR letters, screenshots from the original burner account he swore never existed, and I called my lawyer. Court was quiet, not like in movies. No shouting, no slamming fists, just paperwork, sighs, and subtle glances. He sat across from me in a suit that didn't fit as well as it used to. Hair thinner, eyes duller, and for a moment, I didn't feel rage. I felt pity, because he still thought this was a game he could win. My attorney stood up, calm and collected, presented the evidence, laid out the timeline, read aloud the internal ethics clause from his former employer, and then she played the voicemail, the one where he laughed, literally laughed, about putting her in her place online. His voice echoed in the courtroom like a bullet ricocheting off marble. He didn't speak, didn't even look up, because he knew, and the judge didn't hesitate. Case dismissed. Plaintiff holds no grounds for defamation. Defendant is protected under Whistleblower Clause 12B. I walked out of that courthouse taller than I'd walked in, not because I'd won, but because he finally lost to his own reflection. Walking out of that courthouse, I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. Not just with him, with the version of me that used to flinch when his name showed up on my screen. The version that second-guessed her own truth just because someone louder kept lying. She was gone. And what remained? Someone he never expected me to become. I didn't post about the verdict Didn't screenshot the court documents. Didn't text mutuals with a smug "I told you so." I went home, took off my shoes, made myself tea, and sat in the stillness like it was the softest sound in the world. He, on the other hand, spiraled. Tried appealing the case, didn't work. Tried contacting me again, through a friend of a friend this time. The message was short: I just want closure. But the truth is, closure isn't something you give to people who destroyed you, and only regret it because they lost. Closure isn't a door you open for them. It's the one you shut, softly, quietly, without explanation. I wrote him a letter. Never sent it. Just needed to get the words out. It said, "You don't miss me. You miss the access, the benefit, the silence. I was never yours to break. And now, you don't even have the pieces." Weeks passed, then months. I started sleeping better, deeper, longer. I bought new furniture, new sheets, new plants that didn't remind me of him. And in that quiet transformation, I realized something. I had stopped living to prove him wrong. Now, I was just living. One morning, I passed by a group of women at a cafe. They were laughing, and one of them said something like, "Ugh, I could never go through what she did. I would have fallen apart." And I smiled, because they didn't know. I did fall apart, but I also put myself back together. Not perfectly, not quickly, but honestly. That's the part no one glamorizes. Not the rage, not the revenge, the rebuild. The slow return to your own name, your own body, your own damn life. So if you're listening to this and you feel like no one sees the pain you're carrying, let this story be your mirror. Let it remind you, your story isn't over just because someone tried to write your ending. I used to think peace would feel like fireworks, like a moment so loud it would drown out all the pain. But now I know the truth. Peace doesn't arrive with a bang. It settles in, like sunlight on old wounds. It doesn't ask for attention. It just exists when you're finally free enough to notice it. I don't tell this story because I want people to know what he did. I tell it because I want you to know what you can survive, what you can rebuild, what you can outgrow. Because no matter how personal the betrayal was, healing is still yours. There was a time when I thought I needed revenge to feel powerful. But revenge? It's noisy, it burns fast, and it leaves ashes. What I really needed was silence, stillness. To sit in a room by myself and know I am no longer waiting for them to feel sorry. I am no longer hoping for their apology. I am no longer bound to their version of the story. These days, my life is soft. Not in a weak way, in a chosen way. I protect my energy. I say no without guilt. I walk away from chaos like it's a language I no longer speak. And him? He's just a memory, a shadow, a name I no longer say out loud. Not because I'm afraid of it, but because I outgrew the need to remind myself that I won. Victory doesn't always look like a court case won. Sometimes it looks like sleeping through the night, or laughing without checking who's watching, or choosing yourself over and over and over again. That's the kind of win no one can take from you. And if you're still walking through your own storm, still hoping the pain will break before you do, let this be your proof. You are allowed to start again. You are allowed to heal in silence. You are allowed to rebuild a life they don't even recognize. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them wonder how you rose without rage. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who scream the loudest. They're the ones who moved on. Completely.